The Heresy Accountabilibuddies Podcast is dedicated to all things Horus Heresy. This podcast delves into the grimdark universe where Primarchs clash, legions rise, and loyalties fracture faster than a Land Raider's track. But it's not just about the lore of the Horus Heresy. The Accountabilibuddies also explore the gaming side of things, from painting and modeling tips to product reviews and ideas to help you in your hobby. So, whether you're a seasoned Forge World veteran or a fresh-faced scout, this podcast is your Vox channel to the galaxy. Expect discussions on lore, modeling, gaming, and maybe even the shenanigans that your hosts somehow seem to find their way into. Remember, in the grim darkness of the far future, there are only two things you can count on: heresy and your trusty Accountabilibuddies.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 108 of the Heresy Accountabilibuddies Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, and my name is Duncan. Tonight, I'm joined by my friends.
Dan.
Jack.
Jamie.
And John.
And we're glad to have you with us, because you're the important one here, everybody. So, before we go any further, we'll go ahead and pause for our thank you for our sponsors.
Do you love resin bases? Then go to our sponsor, Elric Hobbies, for all of your basing and basing accessory needs. Use code HERESYABB at checkout for a discount. Legendary Monument Hobbies. Monument Hobbies is a one-stop shop for all of your painting needs. Use code HERESYABB at checkout for a 5% discount on your purchase. Pop Goes the Monkey. Find maker of third-party accessory bits of arms, legs, backpacks, and more, where you can get 10% off your first order over $125 with code HERESYABB at checkout.
And a huge shout out to our patrons who help make this thing happen every single month and every single episode. We love you guys and gals. And a huge shout out to everybody who's participating in our current ongoing hobby progress challenge that we have going on. John will talk about that here in a little bit. But as always, let's go to John with the beginning of what all he has done this week.
Thank you, Duncan. So yeah, this week for Hobby Progress, during our weekly call, I decided that I didn't like the fact that all of the ZM/Memorial Garden tiles were on not so square bases. And since I'd just gotten a new batch of, I went to Home Depot and got them to cut down a giant sheet of masonite into actual 1 foot by 1 foot squares, I decided to say screw it and scrap the entire table and start it over during the hangout. And managed to rebuild pretty much everything that I'd gotten done so far, and then some. And so now I've got, I'm at 14 tiles. You need 16 to make a full 4x4 normal ZM table. And I've got plans to make almost 5 or 6 more tiles. So I think I'm going to stop at 20, which gives us a 4x5 table. That gives you about a foot on each, or a foot to put some dead stuff down. I've really kind of been going through some of my older bits boxes and things, pulling out some, kind of half beaten up vehicles and things like that crash into some of the other memorials that aren't so pristine, so that I could use those for some of the terrain and things. To find some of these other memorial pieces, I'd kind of run out of all the bases that I've been using, so I hit up all the Dysos in the DFW Metroplex, except for the ones that are over an hour away. One of those was precipitated by visiting Lucas from the Digging of Pyrrhic, and he dropped off a whole bunch of cool 3D printed parts for me that I need for some future projects, custodes, as well as some of the Mechanicum stuff I'm going to be working on next. And we met up at a different Dyso down in Fort Worth, and I picked up some more bases there that I needed. And before we started recording, I started hacking into some of those bases, which I hadn't done before, and I found out that the only thing that cuts into them is Dremel. They destroy any clippers or anything else that tries to touch them. So I had some issues there. One of the things that I managed to pull out of my old bits box was a Mark I Land Raider that was recast by our some of our hookups in Forged Land. And I've been trying to build that together with a help of a heat gun and some cutting and some gluing and some frying and things like that. But I think it'll definitely be kind of a cool little memorial piece to put on there. I haven't decided if I want to turn it into like a kid's slide or not. Kind of the running joke of this thing is it's like half memorial table, half Nuka-Cola world. I think that's how the Imperium would probably see this, is just trying to be as little over the top as possible. I've shown kind of before on the Discord that I built a gift shop, and then there's like a take a picture with a Space Marine stand next to it. This weekend I managed to build a diner with a bunch of outdoor seating that people can fight over, and I think that kind of a little kids playground would be funny too to put in there with all the rides being based around some of the Imperial vehicles.
Is the menu on a diner going to be Bugman's?
It's too small to have that on there, but I could probably print up some things like that.
It'd be kind of cool.
Some silly, yeah. And
On a window or something, maybe.
Yeah, put some of their beers and hot sauces scattered around on the ground. I also got some shipments from Green Stuff World that I dug out. So I got a whole bunch of old Coke cans and things like that to scatter around the diner and things like that.
They were giving those away like at Adepticon at some point.
Yeah, they're really cool parts. I've like putting those on the jet bike bases that I did a while ago, and so I've still got a whole bunch of those and some of the beer bottles and things like that I've decaled up before. But that's pretty much been it for me. It's just been working on this terrain since I decided to scrap it all and rebuild it all. I like the fact now that I can kind of just drop these into anyone's existing ZM table. So, if one of the plans that Lucas and I had talked a lot about was a lot of people's DM tables are, the bowels of the ship, the kind of dirtier, grungier places.
Yeah.
And it'd be kind of cool to have like a Rogue Traders kind of bridge, as well as like living quarters and things like that as part of a ZM table. Some of the nicer, finer areas of the Imperium to be fought over.
It also reminds me, I don't know if you've been to or heard of the City Museum up in St. Louis. So they turned an old factory into a museum. And there's some things that like wouldn't translate, right? So you talk about the slide, they have an inside slide that's like 4 stories or something that goes down through made of metal and stuff, but it's all smoothed out. But they have just a bunch of gears and all kinds of factory stuff all over the place. But outside they have like a small jet, like a G6, and a bus that are like welded down but hanging out over the parking lot with cages and stuff. And so it's a really cool, like you said, like a kid's amusement park kind of thing. It's a really cool place to visit if you have kids, just as a recommendation. But when you're talking about turning a Land Raider into a slide, that's kind of I get that vibe out of it, and I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's something I thought I could totally see the Imperium doing. I like to go to a bunch of museums and stuff around here, and they'd kind of done that with some of the aircraft museums in DFW, where they'd taken like old aircraft and turn them into slides and things for the kids to just, it's that way you get a tax write-off and everything else. I also got some parts from Lucas for some of our secret projects that we're working on. And then Jamie delivered me a gigando box full of awesomeness, a bunch of pre-built, half-built, and unbuilt terrain, including some 3D printed parts for some of our secret projects coming up for Adepticon. And so now I'm just trying to work through, during the podcast, I'll probably be building some more little memorials, as well as trying to finish this blasted Land Raider slide. And that's all I've got. What about our Jack?
This week I have worked on Deckwing models, mostly in the hobby hangout. Got 2 laser destroyers done, deckled out. I just need to weather a couple of different Land Raider chassis. The big thing that I need to overcome right now is I need probably like an 1.5 inch destroyer logo stencil for one of my Land Raiders so that I could put it on the side. That's what I'm trying to work through now. Also, I decided to give Army Painter Speed Paint 2.0 a try. One of the trials and tribulations of this Ultramarines army is the glaze that I put down to kind of unify all the different blues that I put on it, and that's a mixture of Scale 75 Intensity Blue and Gilliman Glaze, which for those people that are keeping score at home, I think those bottles go on eBay right now for more money than I'm willing to spend. So I gave
friendly.
Beowulf Blue a try because it looks similar to that combination of Intensity and Gilliman Glaze. It's not quite as vibrant of a finished product, but if I start slowly filtering it in now, since this is easily, readily a good attainable, it won't be that big of a transition for the army as a whole. There won't be a line in the sand of, well, this is when he ran out of Gilliman Glaze, and this is when he still had Gilliman Glaze. I think it's good enough for what I need it to be. So, Duncan,
Are you is that replacing the combination of the Gillimans and the Intensity, or is this just replacing the Gillimans and the mixture?
this is replacing both parts
Okay.
because
Cool.
I had to do the same thing with some of the ones I used because I was using Winsor & Newton ink, and they changed their formula, so I ended up having to use. I'm using Hobby Lobby ink.
with the way speed, like these speed paint type thing, I know they dry. Going into it, I knew they dried a lot darker than what they went on as. So that's why I just raw dogged it straight out of the bottle, and it worked. For the most part, like I said, it's just not as vibrant as the other mission.
Yeah.
So
I thought I had enough Gilliman's Glaze to cover all of mine, but then people keep buying me more things to paint Ultramarines and build, so I'm not sure at this point. So I may need to consider replacing my Gilliman's Glaze at some point.
yeah, this is going to be a lot darker than the Gilliman Glaze by itself because of
Yeah.
the amount of intensity blue that was in the mixture that
Yeah.
I use.
Yeah, my filter's just straight up Gilliman Glaze, so I just need to replace that at some point. I know there's recipes out there.
There's recipes out there. Also, there's lighter speed paints. This one was dark purplish blue is their description of it. So just a dark blue, something like that.
Yeah.
That'd probably do you wonders.
Yeah, I think some of them are taking like the contrast paint that's closest to Ultramarines blue and just thinning it down a ton, but they talk about replacing Gilliman's, but I haven't really messed with it. I still have a bottle and a half or 2.5. I still have some left, but you tend to go through a lot, so I don't know exactly when I'll run out.
I'm not sure.
I know I've got enough of these Terminators here for sure, so.
I'm not sure how many bottles I'm still sitting on at this point. I just know that I made a mixture of it the other day, and I'm like, ooh, I need to get this figured out sooner rather than later. But that's enough waffling about blue filters.
Jack, did you ever try the tooth and coats?
I did. Unfortunately, where that is wave 2 and not easily accessible in the States right now.
Gotcha.
It's bang on to what I need. It's just harder than get out and not to get a hold of.
Have you tried some of our contacts over in Europe to see if they can help you with that?
That's too many steps for paint. Like I just want something where I can go. Either I can hit 2 buttons online and get it shipped, or preferably go to my local store and buy it. Like that. Like listen with it with this Speed Paint 2.0. I can go down to my local store and they keep it in stock.
I get it.
I there's not a lot of stuff that I can buy from the local store anymore, so I'll try to maximize what I can buy from him.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, Duncan,
Cool.
what have you been up to?
Oh, let me see here. I got all the medals down for the next 20 Rampagers. I got that done this week. I got 20 backpacks started. I got them all onto the sprue that I will paint them on. I got them all base coated. I got 20 shoulder pads base coated. And then I started having problems with my Sotar, and it started gunking up and not blowing anything. And it's been giving me fits for a bit, and it's been getting more and more problematic. I've been working on that, trying to figure out exactly how the hell to fix it, what the hell I've done wrong.
Ooh, I have a suggestion.
No,
You aren't going to like it.
I don't care.
Buy an Affinity.
So thanks, Dan. I appreciate your suggestion of me spending almost $400.
Well, you can get one for about $240. Well, last I checked.
Yeah. Or, and this is the big option, I can run all kinds of stuff through this, trying to clear out whatever gunk is in there. Run multiple different types of rods through it that try to clear the gunk that is in there that is causing whatever problem. And I did that, and I've done all that. I've cleaned everything out. I've done everything I can to it, taken it apart, torn it apart, got it to where it's got proper airflow again. So I'm really happy. And in just doing all that, I then discovered that now it's blowing off to the left. So I think now I've got a
Plug Venturi port.
I think that's the only thing I've got going on. That's that I've literally taken everything apart and cleaned everything. I think that's the only thing that can be. That, or the tip of the needle has a bend to it that I cannot see. So
another thing you might want to check is if you've got like a borescope or something that's really magnifying, you might have a crack in your nozzle. I had that issue before. It was like a microscopic crack, and I couldn't see it. And I just swapped nozzles one day, and it fixed itself. And then I went ahead and pulled out a borescope, and I could see it.
I guess that's the good thing, is the nozzle and a needle combo is like $15 probably from one of the local air.
Yeah, and you can always, Badger's pretty good about, sending it in and getting it repaired too. That's another option. But the downside is that does take you out of the action for a while.
Yep. All those are good options. All of those are absolutely good options and things to fiddle with. And I've fiddled with everything. I've got a parts kit for what I think includes a new nozzle and a new needle coming to see if that is the actual problem already. So that'll be here somewhere in the month of Febtober. So until then, I'm just going to have to gut on through as best I can and hope for the best.
Do you want to borrow an airbrush?
Yeah,
because I've got a chrome, and I still have a 105. I don't like the chrome. I haven't liked it since I got it for $50. And the 105 is, well, it's the very first airbrush I ever got, and I kind of gave it to my daughter. So me using that would be a little kind of rude.
Well, I have tons of airbrushes if you need to borrow one.
I'm hoping that when I have finished with this the soak that it's currently doing, where it's currently soaking in thinner, to see if that will help unplug anything that is plugged that is left there. I'm going to run more microscopic needles through it to see if there's anything else left in the Venturi. So we'll see. But if that doesn't fix it, I may have to borrow an airbrush from Jack, since he's close, and since he's borrowing stuff from me for it, that's good. But other than that, that's it. That's all I've got done, which is pretty much everything. So, is anyone left? Is it just Jamie now?
Dan.
Well, yeah, let's see what Dan's been up to. Dan, what have you done?
Dan hasn't done anything.
And Jamie,
right, so
you're up.
Jamie, what have you done?
I built a new Land Raider and worked on finishing up a Rhino, putting some more detail-y stuff on it, and then finished printing out stuff for Adepticon events that smash things particularly over the back of people's heads and backs with. And then also stuff for chaplains. I printed out a bunch of parts for chaplains, like helmets and that kind of stuff. And then cleaned up a little bit so I can move around. And I found models I didn't even know I was missing. That's always fun, especially when it's like a bag of 50 Forge World Mark IVs that are still on the flash gate that I didn't even know was missing with gun with the bolter rifles. And what else? Oh, I played Space Marine 2 a bunch with Brian and John.
Yep.
That's it. That's what I've done this week.
Well, sounds like all of us except Dan have been somewhat hobby productive. So, John, since we're at the end of the hobby progress bit, do you want to go ahead and talk to everybody out there about our current hobby project that we are running for the 2-week hobby challenge and let them know what's going on there?
Sure. So right now we've got our 2-week hobby progress challenge. Yesterday on the 21st of December, we ended our second phase of submissions. And so everyone's got to obviously finish their stuff by the 29th. Oh, and it isn't 2 weeks. Yeah, it's 2 weeks from the beginning. So technically the beginning of that was December the 16th. So 2 weeks from December the 16th will be the 29th. And so whenever people can enter this by simply going to our Discord, finding our 2-week hobby challenge section, and submitting a picture of what they want to work on during the 2 weeks, along with a piece of paper with our magical keyword. This week it was holy globules and the date. And so now by the 29th, they have to submit, obviously, the finished product along with another piece of paper with the holy globule word on it. And whenever they do both of these things, they'll get one entry into the drawing. And so there's 4 separate sections to each drawing. The next section will be submission by January the 4th, completion by January the 12th, and then submission by January 18th, and completion by January 26th. And then the drawing will be done on February 1st. And then we obviously have another section coming up after that, which will be another 4 2-week section, and then drawing on March 24th. Completing each one of these sections gives you one entry into the drawing, as well as being a patron at the time of the drawing will get you another entry. So what will our magical listeners win is probably the biggest question on your mind right now, Duncan.
It is. What are we giving away this time, John?
So I had said before that I was just going to go to Daiso and buy a bunch of hobby tools. And that was honestly what I had planned on doing. But tonight my parents gave me my Christmas present early. And sadly, it's something I already had. So I think that our listeners or drawing entrants would actually prefer if they want a vortex mixer.
Ooh, a vortex mixer.
So that will be sent off to whoever wins it. And so I've actually got the vortex mixer. I'll put up pictures in our chat and on our Discord in just a little bit. If you've already got a vortex mixer when you win, then we can work something else out. But we will go ahead and mail you the vortex mixer. Obviously, it plugs into the wall, so preferably if you're in the U.S. when you win this thing. Otherwise, we'll figure out some other way to get you a prize of your choice if you're outside the U.S.
Cool.
So other options could be things like the magical shipping containers that everyone loves from Daiso. There's a bunch of Dremel tools that are kind of cheap at Daiso, so you could get a handful of those. There's a bunch of standing stones, drill bits, other things that I've found there. They've also got a bunch of different weathering sponges, as well as some really nicely detailed micro trees that are really cool. I'm going to be using on some of the tables I'm working on. Oops. Speaking of hobby containers, I just dropped one. But yeah, so that's what right now everyone's entering for is going to be that vortex mixer.
Nice. Well, now that we've gotten that out of the way, John, what is our news right now?
All right, so on the pre-order front this week, we got access to a bunch of Empire stuff. So that's not really Heresy related, but it makes me happy because my army for Old World was going to be the Empire. So I'm a little happy about that. My wallet, not so much, because it thought we could at least take a month off of not buying a bunch of GW stuff. From the unofficial official GW releases, we got the Joy Toy Contemptor Achilles and Contemptor Galatus Dreadnought for Custodes. Both those went up for pre-order this week. And from Starforged, they came out with a Space Marine auto bolt rifle keychain from Space Marine 2. And then a bunch of Kill Team shirts, as well as a No Fear mouse pad from the Secret Level show came out from Merchoid. And then during the week, we got access to a preview article for Heresy Thursday for the Legion Overseer. So this was during the Beta Garmin book, which was actually quite a while ago. I didn't think we were actually going to get a figure for this guy. But the Loyalist Overseer is shown off. He's kind of two different heads. One of them kind of a bearded guy with laurels over his head, and then the helmeted head is with laurels and a transverse crest. Honestly, this guy knocks it out of the park. He's kind of regal without being over the top. And one of the kind of cool little Easter eggs they put in here is the fact that the paint job as well as the rank insignia on his back banner are both pulled from Rogue Trader's military police Space Marines, which had been kind of forgotten, honestly. For those that don't remember, the Overseer is the Space Marine console option that allows you to select 1, 2, 3 Imperialis Militia or Solar Ox Tertio squads. And then you get some special rules depending on what Legio you are, and then those guys get the access to those rules as well.
Nice.
Really cool model that could be used for a lot of console and character conversions too, just in general.
Yeah, I like he's got little Neaquillas. He's got a really cool scallop shoulder pad looking with a bunch of different inlays. A lot of those kind of sun motifs that they've been using that are kind of pulled from the Roman Legionnaire look. Honestly, it's an awesome figure. I really like the look of it.
I have two things to say about that. Number one, yeah, he looks awesome. I'm kind of concerned for you getting him though, John, because he's got so much bling in so many places that there's not really enough spots left for you to put 1,300 decals on it.
Well, the back banner is pretty empty, and the tab art is pretty empty. So I'll find a way.
Okay. I just wanted to bring that up because you're penchant for all the decals all the time.
That's very important. They have those.
Yeah, it is. The other comment is seeing that guy on the day he released prompted me to call Jack in the afternoon when I was off work and talk about his plans for Adepticon 2026 and what he is wanting to work on. So I saw him and I immediately thought of, oh, Jack's going to want to do something about this guy. So, yeah, I found him somewhat inspirational.
I'd originally planned on someone released some files for like an Overseer type upgrade kit with a whip and things like that. And I was like, man, why didn't I get those printed? And why didn't I build this character? And I looked up his rules for Ultramarines. I was like, oh, that's kind of why I didn't build that. He's kind of bland. So the Ultramarine one is the Tertio squad has to shoot and cause a casualty. Then when an Ultramarine Legionnaire unit charges the unit that was shot, their reaction fire is only done as snapshots.
Yep.
It's three paragraphs of rules to get a kind of minor bonus. Like, why?
Yeah, I got nothing on that one, buddy. Still confuses me.
Yeah. The other thing I guess I could kind of mention for coming out the pre-orders next week is going to be a lot more Necromunda squats. So the trikes are coming back in a 2-pack and Scout trike. Their exosuits are coming back as called Squat Prospector Exokin. and then they're getting a weapons kit. One of the locals had kind of talked about using squats as Shattered Legions or Black Shields, pardon. I could kind of see that where they're all doped up, and especially with these exosuit guys and the jet bikes, the trikes. I think they'd probably be better as Solar Rocks or Militia with some of the other weird upgrades that you could take, where they're all Grenadiers or they have better toughness or slower movement and things like that. But I mean, I definitely wouldn't poo-poo anyone that came to an event and said, "Hey, these are Black Shields and they're just a bunch of freak shows." So I know we had talked about taking Black Shields as like Thunder Warriors and other things like that. So just things to get your mind working.
I will say this wave of, I guess you could call it wave of releases of characters. I mean, I think we all could say that sculpting wise, at least, they've been pretty impressive, right?
Yeah. Lately, all the sculpts have really been knocking them out of the park.
And honestly, you want to use that to transition into our next topic?
Excuse me.
That actually would be a really good topic to go into, or transition.
Yeah, our topic this evening is looking back at 2024 from a GW point of view. Obviously, if we did a personal point of view, it would kind of suck. But from a GW point of view, you know, I pulled up all of the Heresy articles that had come out and listened to our old episode from last year this time, and we talked a lot about 2023 was kind of devoid of a lot of decent releases. It was a lot of tanks, not a lot of infantry was one of our biggest complaints. We got the assault squad. We were waiting for the command squad. We were waiting for the close combat crew and things like that. But when you look back at 2024, we started the year off with the Blood Angel upgrades, with the rotor cannons and things, and immediately moved off into Solar Auxilia plastic releases, the Beta Garmin book.
That's a whole army, man. I mean, like, they've put a ton out for that army.
Yeah, and there's still more coming. That's the best part, is they didn't just drop it all and move on. They've dropped all of the troops and all the available troops, as well as the upgrade kits, the tank, the Russes, the Dracosan,
super heavy
Malkador, the basic Malkador. Then the Sentinel came out, and I obviously liked those rules so much I built an entire terrible army around them. It was kind of an interesting, and that just takes us into February, where we got previews for the Siege Breaker, which was kind of the first generic console that we all really agreed that was really nice looking, that had a lot of heart to them. Indrid Har, the Solar Auxilia artillery came out, then their command squad. Then we had Tybalt Mar, another named character that was captured the look and feel of someone we've read about for so many years by now. Patrick Medusan, another great character.
I can't fault any of those characters, honestly.
Yeah. And then into March with Ibu Khan. I mean, that was the only one that anyone had a complaint about that I'd seen online, was the fact that it wasn't the other white scar that we see mentioned a lot more, or the fact that the sword was a little wonky, but I still loved the character. I bought one to clean up. And then Legion Command Squad. Horus Axeman. And then into May with the Mechanicum release.
So two new armies in 1 year. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, like, I know people are wanting more from the Mechanicus, but like, you have most of your, I'd say, 75 to 80% of most base units for it.
Yeah, and then some of the other ones have been announced. Looking forward, I mean, the biggest things that the army's missing is the Krios, and then some of the other robots that don't exist yet. But I mean, obviously the Urtharax can is a simple upgrade kit. I mean, Battle Bling has technically already made a 3D printable version of that. There's other things that are coming out with the Drecos or the Triaros conversion kit.
Yeah,
Strength
that's something I don't even really think about.
strength.
I mean, there's a couple bots possibly come. There's still some bots that kind of were previewed in the LI stuff.
Yeah,
that
we
haven't
need the
been out yet.
Thanatar. We need
Yeah.
the other Thanatars and things like that, so you could do the Myrmidon host. We need the Myrmidons, obviously, but you could always convert them like I'm doing for my army.
But I mean, still, I mean, like for a year, okay, you know, and everybody complained about 23, kind of like it was Heresy's dead. You know, we're not getting a whole lot out of it. You know, we're still waiting on all these. You had two like almost full new armies released this year
in the first half of the year. Like that,
like
the fact that we should knock them out of the park. Obviously, you know, the for Marine players, we were, you know, kind of still salty because we still didn't have the
right.
upgrade set that we were kind of waiting for, and that took all the way till November to come out. Which, you know, that was a long wait. I'm not going to lie, but as you look at it from a greater picture of bringing more people into the hobby, Solar Ox and Mechanicum did a lot of that.
Yeah. And I mean, kind of, you had a third with the demons, kind of, but like they didn't release anything new. They just kind of redid the rules, right? You know?
Yeah,
I mean,
so we were kind of limited a little bit this year on books. Probably
right.
my only complaint would be the fact that we just got the one. Last year we talked a lot about thinking that we were going to get the other exemplary battle unit released in a
Yep.
book, which
Yep.
kind of weird that we didn't this year, but at the same time, we all hated that book because it was basically just a rehash of the exemplary battle.
Right.
So
That's fair. It really was.
yeah, they added one new unit and then the Emperor's Children stuff. So yeah, I this year really from a hobby release point of view was great. I mean, that's just the GW stuff. Look at Joy Toy. We got Horus, Sanguinius, all the Ultramarines, all the other custodes, everything coming out from them. Obviously, there's been some issues on quality control and things like that from them, but they're going from strength to strength as well. You know, just to recall the night release before that came out because it wasn't going to release well. They completely rescheduled that, redesigned those.
Sorry.
Yeah, and then obviously all the Legions Imperialis Dark Mechanicum and Mechanicum releases for that army.
Yep. I mean, there was a decent amount released for that whole system this year. So
yeah.
You know, when you look back at it, there's actually been a lot more put out than we really give GW credit for.
Yep.
And it's been spread fairly well throughout the entire year.
Well, I think that's probably the problem that people may have with it is that it hadn't been like big wave release of, you know, everything, and then you kind of just sit there twiddling your thumbs till the next big wave release. It's more been kind of like a steady flow throughout the entire year, you know?
Yep, that really does make sense.
So you may only get like one unit a week or a couple units out of in a week or a month or something like that, but then, you know, 2 weeks later you get something else, and then a couple weeks later you get something else, you know, instead of just all hitting at one time. And so it's kind of like a trickle or whatever. And I don't know, some people are like, you know, they got to have it now or whatever, but for the people that actually have, you know, not a huge disposable income, it gives you a time to actually kind of recuperate after each release, you know? So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's I'm trying not to be negative, and I think this year has been pretty good, just release wise for Heresy. I mean, as we've all kind of said, hadn't been great for power armor players, but as Heresy overall, like because it's not just power armor, it's been an incredible year. And hopefully we'll be getting more power armor stuff soon from what the birds are saying. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah,
I mean,
rules wise, we had the one book, and we had the Blood Angels Exemplary Battle.
Yep.
We had some trickle out of updates to some older units, so the Triaros can take a new gun. There's some other minor updates here and there for weapon options for the land speeder and things like that that also came out, but that was just at the tail end of 23 into 24. So, I mean, apart from, obviously wanting more, because that's what we do. We we like spending the money. Yeah, it's hard to fault the releases that we got.
Yeah, it's been a good year for Heresy overall. I think. I think it would really be hard to say it has not. Looking back in retrospect, I kind of think that I think a lot of us have all been like, man, where's the this, where's the that? And I know a lot of us lamented that we did not have the continuous Heresy Thursdays all year long.
Yeah.
And we had the gaps and we had the pauses that didn't seem to make sense. And then we had the release schedules that to us didn't really make sense and stuff getting delayed. But overall, it's been good. Better, I think, in some ways than the first year, because while yes, the Marines in us, or the Marine players in us, all want more stuff for the Marines, gimme, gimme, gimme. Expanding the range for the other things that are involved in the Heresy and have their own books does make sense and is a good thing, and is overall, in my mind, a net positive. So,
hey, we got assault weapons kit. I mean,
we did. We got the assault weapons kit,
and
which is important.
It was very loaded, and then you had some more options that came with the command squad that for like shields and stuff, and a couple more swords. And so, like, I know everybody was bitching that's where's my assault squads and stuff like that, and where are my weapons, my assault weapons? Well, there you go. So, I mean, are we going to talk about what? Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say GW came out with some decent articles too, showing off some, some good, some not so good conversions and paint jobs of some of their internal staff on every one of these releases. So you got some of the weirder Mechanicum conversions. You got some decent dioramas with that. Then the Command Squad came out. You got customized ones for Night Lords. That was a really cool conversion.
Yeah.
And then some of the melee weapons conversions. That's where we saw some of the weirder ones. But honestly, yeah, it was kind of strength to strength almost this year from GW side. We want to talk about what we've done as a podcast.
Yeah, I think we should. I think we should definitely go into that. And I'm assuming here we're not talking about just what we each individually have done, but the cast as a whole.
Right. So we started out the year strong with everyone I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I can't say it enough, but obviously tragedy struck myself, losing Christina, and everyone came together to help me out a lot with that. We moved from there to one of our biggest giveaways with Into the Death Volume 3 Collector's Edition.
Yep.
And then the table for Blake.
Yep.
I think those were mixed up, but whatever. And then obviously now we're starting the 2-week hobby progress giveaways. We've had our shirts come out. We've had a bunch of different tutorials published online for how to do terrain, how to do posters, magnetization. Jack and I have done different painting skills as well.
All of these are true.
We have done 42 episodes this year on the main avenues of consumption for everybody, along with 3 patrons only, which we definitely need to do better on that. So that's 45 episodes out of 52 weeks.
That's pretty good. That's better than a lot of other casts that are out there, I think. And I'm not even talking just Heresy casts. I'm talking about other casts in general.
Yeah,
I mean, originally weren't we planning only to do like an episode a month or an episode every 2 weeks?
When we first started, yeah. But I'll be honest, the episode every single week or close to has actually, I think, worked better in our favor. It certainly has made me feel more at touch with the community, more in touch with my friends who are involved in the heresy. And starting up the Wednesday night hobby hangout has just continued that. It's
Yeah.
I'd
so
say
that's
I don't know about everybody else, but I was gonna say doing it this often, doing the cast this often, and doing the hobby hangouts has definitely been a net positive for my mental health, I will say, and my hobbying.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
I
we
don't think I
definitely
could have made it through this year without
Hmm.
everyone in the community and obviously all my friends. This has been a hell of a year, to say the least. And then, obviously finding a job and finishing a lot of the projects that I've been putting off around the house and everything was, along with everyone else, just working on stuff and seeing everyone succeed has really helped a lot.
I mean, we're definitely seeing a lot more, maybe newer people showing up for Wednesday night hobby hangout, especially some younger people in their teens and stuff like that, which is very encouraging for the hobby, at least.
Yep, yep. I'm gonna give a shout out now to Turkey, who has been, or as his handle goes, 60 turkeys in a trench coat. His hobbying has progressed very well this year. He is trucking along mightily, and he's doing a heck of a lot better than I was at his age in my hobby stuff. So, kudos to Turkey.
His stuff is actually painted.
Yeah, my stuff wasn't painted until like 2009.
I will say, I think we all need to give Brian a big thanks for chaperoning and hosting that as well.
I will agree.
Yep.
I
Absolutely. Shout out to Brian.
know he gets
But
a little discouraged sometimes about some of the stuff that goes on and some of the stuff that people not necessarily talk about, but like some of he tries to give recommendations and counterpoints come up to like stuff he's tried to explain, and he keeps he keeps his chin up and keeps going, and he's also very he's always open to new ideas and trying to help people out any way he possibly can and learning new techniques too. I know this week alone he went and did the one of the armies on parade, and some people have seen his board. It was it's not
Yeah.
not necessarily heresy, but it was
it was a
a
scale
Death
representation of
Guard
your house.
yeah, it was basically he took pictures of my house and made a battle board with that, with the green ooze and poop and vomit every place, and the drains and everything foaming up with foulness. So yeah, really cool Nurgle demon army and board that had light up and fog effects on it. So
Yeah, and every week posting good memes to remind everyone that we are hanging out on Wednesdays. We really appreciate his help.
Yep.
I mean,
Absolutely,
he's
we do.
done a very unappreciated, underrated job, and we need to give him thanks for it. So,
And
Absolutely.
we'll be doubling his pay this week.
Yep.
yeah,
I think Jamie gets some props for putting together the army that we auctioned off at Adepticon and arranging getting it
Raffled off.
raffled. Yeah, sorry.
Yep.
I should
Yeah.
know. Well, my kid won.
Yeah.
it was not. We 100% swear it was not fixed.
I wasn't there. I wasn't there when drawing happened. So
Yeah.
and I had said all weekend that my kid wasn't there around all weekend. I put the money in for him to win anyway. So technically, he was the one that won and is not associated with the podcast. So
But it's
Yep.
kind of hilarious that it was a word bearer's army with all your Ultramarines. So.
well, I mean, but the funny thing is that I had just the year, right before the end of first edition, built a very similar army, not as well,
Right.
but yeah. So
I try to do my best, and that also came down to Brian helping out painting it. And
Brian is the man.
Yeah, he really
100%
absolutely is.
is the man.
Yeah, and he's helping us with the next painting, I believe, as well as
yeah,
helping us organize some of the White Scars giveaways and The other thing is that he also participated along with some of our patrons on our Secret Santa giveaways. So
Mhm.
Yep. Yep.
we've also done some giveaways, not just myself, but a couple of y'all have as well, for helping out people on the Wednesday night hangouts. I know I've mailed off some stickers and some decals and things like that, but I know Duncan's giving away stickers and other stuff at events too. So
Yep. I've sent out some shirts. I know Brian got a shirt.
Yep.
I know Gabe got a shirt. I sent a very special care package over to Avash, one of our favorite listeners. I've sent posters, stickers, etc. Yeah, I mean, we've had a fairly busy year, and I'm honestly looking forward to seeing what we come up with next year.
And talking
Yeah.
about events, we had our last Adepticon at the old new place, new old place, however you want to look at it. It's
The
not.
last Dethroned in Illinois for a while, right?
Yes, the last Illinois Adepticon.
Well, at least for a
Oh,
while. I
God.
mean, they may end up going
We'll
back.
see if they go back. Yeah.
I can't remember how long the contract was for this one. I think it was like 2 or 3 years at least. So
Yeah.
I don't remember if they've ever actually said, so I don't know.
I think they said it was an extended number of years, but I don't know if you're. I think you're correct. I don't know if they actually said it was going to be X number of years. But it was more than one.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a while. I mean, we're not going to be going anywhere for a while.
Yeah, and then that also that we're obviously looking forward to 2025. We're helping run the events at Adepticon.
Yep, that is something I'm also looking forward to. For anyone who's attending Adepticon who is looking at playing in some of the events, I know Ferrix is putting out their information.
Yep.
The information for the events that we are running, that's already out there on the actual checkout cart that you can preview. There will be more information regarding specifics for the events will be also coming out. I believe it's before New Year, so people can look forward to that as well. And I know that I am looking forward to seeing people playing at Adepticon, having fun at Adepticon, and enjoying the hobby as a whole.
As
It's
well
not
as our
just
secret
about-
projects.
Yeah, and our secret projects. So that's one of the big things about it is, as we all know, the hobby is not just playing games. Working on your hobby, building your miniatures, painting your miniatures, designing lists, having fun with other members of the community, all of that is important parts of the hobby as well.
And I managed to drag my friend Joel, who's actually showed up to the last couple of hobby hangouts, who hates all of social media with a passion. Managed to finally get him onto something, so y'all can talk to him and we can keep him accountable for actually working on the crap that he keeps buying.
Yeah, that's important. Lord knows. Trying to think. Was there anything that we have missed at this point? Was there anything that has come out or that we have been involved in that we have not yet talked about?
I mean, we've been to a number of other cons and events besides Adepticon.
We have, and we've actually sponsored
First
some of
thing.
those with merch.
Yep.
Yep.
Warzone, War Dome, all the local smaller Ferrix events.
Yep. I sent stuff. I sent poster sets down to guys in Tennessee as well.
Yep.
I don't know if we sponsored it, but Brian from Michigan ran Michigan GT.
Yep. We sent stuff there.
What about Blake's event? Did
Yep.
do anything?
I think we sent stuff there. I can't really remember at this point. I may not have. I'm not 100% certain, but I thought I did.
Some of the guests that we've had this past year, like bigger names in the.
Yeah, we've had a couple guests on here that were really neat. We had the Pontius on here most recently.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a couple other. We've had the guys from Legion Cast on. We've got another cast that I'm trying to get come on. Unfortunately, they're in England, and right now communicating time-wise back and forth has been a little difficult. But there's that. I know we want to get Tim from the Eye of Horus on here again.
That's always a fun experience.
Oh yeah, Tim's absolutely batshit Australian, so that it just fits.
Especially since
And
we
Danny
let
is-
naughty words on here now.
Yes,
Yeah.
especially since we're having all these words.
And Danny has talked about wanting to come back as well.
Oh, good.
Nice.
Yep, I would not object to that at all.
Uh,
We've also lost a cast member this year.
Yep.
Yep.
We did.
We did. We lost Jacob, and
Congratulations, though, Jacob, on his nuptials, and
yes, congratulations to Jake on getting married, and congratulations to Jack on taking over the editor duties so smoothly.
That's a word for it.
Well, I mean, at least it wasn't unlubed, so there's that.
So I'm trying to think.
Oh, and we found out about the book that they haven't actually officially announced before they announced it.
Yeah.
We
That,
lost RFI again. Rest in peace, RFI.
yeah, we lost RFI for the
Third time, fourth time.
fourth,
Umpteenth.
for the multiple time. We
Yeah.
lost RFI again. Sadly, rest in peace, RFI. We missed you guys. We got more art,
Yeah,
which has been very popular.
we should say I think probably most of us would not be here recording if RFI didn't exist in the first place.
Yeah, that's something that's actually true. Most of us wouldn't really know one another if it wasn't for RFI and for the Covenant of Fire podcast. So,
Yep.
Well, not just that. I think that a lot of what we try and do is what they were doing in the first place too. So, but yeah,
Yeah, and that was the joke that I put on our announcement for a 2-week hobby challenge, was the fact that JP started the 2-week hobby challenge on their podcast, but because they don't produce every 2 weeks anymore, they can't keep up with it. So that's why we picked it up.
yeah.
I put that Napoleon quote on there for a reason. We saw the crown of heresy sitting in the gutter and picked it up with our sword. I don't see us as, like you said, we wouldn't have really come together as unless these other podcasts have happened. But I feel like we're standing on the shoulders of giants, and we can only go higher.
Yeah. I'm not going to claim we're the best heresy podcast out there. That would be absolutely not true and would be wrong. So I'm never going to say that. And don't anyone think that I'm actually saying that. But I'd say that we're fairly consistent. We're fairly reliable in our content, and we're hobby positive, which is, what most people I think are actually looking forward to in a hobby podcast.
And we're fairly regular.
Yeah, and we're remarkably regular compared to most hobby
at least the
podcasts. And hell,
podcast is fairly regular.
most other podcasts. Yeah,
The podcast,
the podcast is regular. Those of us
We don't need to get
who
in-
had gut surgeries, who knows?
We don't need to get into the rest of that.
Yeah,
Hey, where's D-list micro celebrities? You get it right.
we're like Z list or double.
No. Remember, we got to give a shout out to the Eastern European hobbyists
and
because
Poland
that's it.
and Poland.
because they keep us in the top of the charts over there.
So
Yeah.
where's that? So where's that list? Is what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I said. Z-list.
Z-list.
Yeah. Should we also use this time to also say what we think we might be looking forward to in next year Hobby Watch from
That
GW?
was going to be like the whole next episode. We're going to ruin it.
Well, next episode is more hobby resolutions and things like that. But I definitely think that we could discuss what we'd like to see out of GW this episode.
What is Santa gonna bring us from GW this year? That's what we want.
Or next year.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
also,
What
we
is
also
James
kind of
Workshop
talked
gonna
about
do
that
for
with the new edition conversation recently, but
Yeah, but
that was very
that's that.
specific versus. I guess we could go more generic.
Here. I'll go first. I want my Fulmintar's Thunderhammers back.
Yeah.
This not because I played them a lot, but because it made everybody mad.
No, Jack. You want all the full Mentaurus options back.
I'll be okay with just a hammer. I can say that because I don't
No.
have anything else modeled on them.
Yeah, you My first model I ever bought was a Chaos Terminator with an autocannon, and I took that autocannon and converted it into a full Montaris autocannon. And now that poor guy is never going to see the table again. Just quietly weeps in the case.
Well,
If we're going 3.0, I hope that we keep the legacy stuff. I hope we keep a lot of the things that we've all lovingly converted and things. Because if they squat legacy units, does that mean they're going to squat exemplary battle units? So it's definitely a question in the air. That gets us down bad, the bad alley. But I definitely think if we're talking about what we hope we get from GW, last time I think I said a plastic mastodon or something like that. But I think I'd rather have plastic breachers and destroyers and things. I think some of the plastic infantry that we're missing would probably be the best fit. Or here's a crazier one: rules for the plastic Mechanicum to be able to be played in 30K with the Mechanica.
I think that'd be neat. So what I would like to see from GW, from John Workshop or James Workshop for
James
Christmas would
Workshop,
be
I forgot about
would be
that.
the following release, Heresy wise, for the next year. I want to see plastic breachers. I want them to finish the individual Praetors for each legion.
Only got a few left.
Yep, we only have a few left. I would like to see them also release another mark of plastic marine armor. I'd like to see Mark II armor in plastic. And if they made the Mark II guys also be the breachers and did a breacher upgrade after releasing the Mark II guys, I think that would be awesome. I will take whatever they want to give us on that one, but that would be my hope. And like John, I'm hopeful for the destroyer squad to be a plastic release. I'd like to see just pretty much an expansion of the entire plastic line. That's not just more tanks, more tanks, more tanks.
I'd like them to go back to Legion and Leviathan.
I wouldn't complain if they started putting those out as well. That would make me happy.
I have another one.
Before you do, one more thing I would like to see. I would like to see for our next exemplary battles campaign booklet, whatever it's going to be, Chthonius style, not just exemplary. But I would like to have that include more expansion of dark mech units as well, to include the stuff that has been released for LI in the LI scale, but also putting it out into 30K scale. And then announcing those in plastic as well. And then I would like one more campaign book before 2.5, 2.75, 3.0, whatever it is we're going to get, which I fully expect somewhere around the middle of summer.
Yeah, that sounds accurate.
Okay, Jack, what were you thinking?
I would like for whenever we get the next edition of Heresy, for the rule books to be kind of go back to the red books, because I don't need 2 copies of the core rules just to have a loyalist and a traitor army list.
I thought you were going to say the rule book go back to the micro-sized.
I'm too old and too blind for that at this point in my life. Because while I would love that for carrying in my back pocket, I would have to whip out my bifocals and then turn them into trifocals.
Get progressive like I did.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm gonna agree there. I'm also gonna go with a reformat of the actual rule books. to where
What
it makes
I've
sense.
suggested, where it's like actually everything is concise and in order instead of having to flip through like 5 different sections to figure out one rule how it affects something.
And not
Index-
recursive.
Indexes that don't suck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then yeah.
And as I said, also not recursive.
So for me, because we really didn't get it this year, I know everybody wants to finish the troops out, which I will not complain about that for destroyers and breachers, but finish off the fast attack choices, because they've kind of, other than the jet bikes, really kind of have neglected it. And then I have a campaign I want to start, and that is to make Terminators great again. I'd like to see, if we get 3.0, that Terminators become more useful. How about that? Especially the Cataphractae and the Tartarus ones. And
Yeah, just the generic Terminators need to be good.
yeah. And then if we're getting a 3.0, I'd like to see which we all have been hearing rumors and whispers about for a while, a new army box that will, it should have a new mark of armor in it, or a redone mark of armor in the new style. And then it supposedly is supposed to also have Saturnine Terminators in it, which will be cool, because I don't think we've seen any of those outside of the artwork rules wise, or I mean, I guess there were like what 2.0, like 40K, like 2.0. I guess you had models of them, but it's not been in Heresy like 1.0 or 2.0 up to this point.
Can I say something controversial?
Sure.
I like Saturnine, but I like Cobra pattern better.
Okay. No, that's fine. But
I was going to say something controversial too, and that is, I don't know. I don't like that art, so none of the models that I've ever seen modeled after it do anything for me whatsoever. But people want it, so I'd be happy with them bringing them out. I just not a fan.
well, I mean, there's tons of
But it's
people.
art.
There's tons of artwork. I mean, artists that have made the different missing Terminator pattern, like STL.
Yeah,
It'd be nice seeing them in plastic and with like legit rules.
I owned for a very short period of time a set of Saturnine because I won them at a con and immediately sold them to somebody from one of the nice 3D printed sites.
Well, but yeah, I mean, if they redo the book, which, yay if they do. If they don't, no. I'd like, how about a fact, like a good, decent fact, if they don't end up redoing the books.
I have a question, because I haven't seen any of the plastics with the like upgrade kits. Do they still sell those, or are those gone for now?
Which upgrade kits?
Like the doors and
The heads and the torsos and stuff.
no, tank upgrade kits. So you can get like ultramarine doors on your Land Raider and
Well, that would be GW expert level models, and I would have to look on the website because
I saw them the other day.
I mean, I know
so people just aren't using them anymore. Is that the thing? Because I haven't seen many of the models built with them, at cons, or even people post them online or anything.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I know with heads they do, especially tank doors. I don't know.
Yeah, they used to have, the Rhino doors and the
I mean, like
that kind of stuff.
you could get the torso still on their website. At least selected ones, and then wow, okay. I'm having to scroll a lot. Still more torsos, temporarily out of stock.
Ultramarine Rhino doors there the other day. The Demos doors.
Man, there's a lot of stuff that's out of stock.
Yeah, that could be another request is stocking issues.
Yeah. Well, we've and like just not necessarily stocking issues, but like just inventory management, because the releases, earlier in the year when they would release stuff, literally, like I'm talking GW stores, they would get either none or like one of each item, and like second and third party stores would get like have orders for like 11 to 20 of an item, and they get one to stock.
I haven't seen Castellax or Thalax in a store since they dropped. And I have checked. I've asked stores to order them. They said they can't get them.
Can't get
They
them.
say they're not out of stock on GW. In fact, I had to order the last 2 boxes I needed from Amazon.
You said Castellax and what? Thalax?
The 2
Yeah,
basic
GW's got the
robots from
Castellax, and there's the Thanatar.
the Thralls are everywhere
Yeah.
in stores, but that's
Well,
because they don't sell.
No, I mean, typically, like with the vehicles nowadays, I mean, most people, I mean, if they can, which we've gone over how to do it. I know John has. A lot of people are doing transfers on the doors now instead of the actual, like, molded doors.
Yep, I've still got some molded doors and some that I'm doing transfers on.
Oh yeah,
So,
I have both. So it's depends on what it is.
Yeah, like I said, I just hadn't seen people building them with the molded doors, so I wasn't sure if they were still available.
Well, I mean, there's not like an actual just like Forge World website anymore. You have to like find the stuff in the Heresy section of the GW site or the 40K section,
Right.
and look for them. And some of the Heresy stuff is just not obvious where it's at anymore. So, and that may be by design, because they're kind of, to be honest with you, like with Solar Ox and Mechanicum, they're kind of getting rid of a lot of the stuff that's resin. It's all going over to plastic. So, and they're kind of, that's what they've gradually been doing with all the rush. I know everybody hates it, is to get, they keep putting all these other tanks out, but they're getting rid of all these resin kits because they're now in plastic, so.
Yeah, they're still putting all the characters out in resin, though.
Those are small, but it's a lot easier to keep a mold for a character than it is for, say, a Mastodon.
Oh, yeah,
that's very true.
For sure.
And, mold it, and having somebody do a mold on actually pouring the resin for a mold is a lot easier than having to pour like multiple gates for like a big vehicle or a walker, like a knight. So you're going to continue to accelerate. You're going to see I think you're going to see an acceleration of them continually, just to get rid of everything that's resin other than character.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know with Titans and like ultra big super heavies.
So I mean, we might see an all plastic Fire Raptor in the future.
I'd say it's possible,
Raptor,
but I wouldn't
Yeah.
know how likely it is this year. But then again,
No, I mean, that
would be surprised the hell out of us before, so who knows?
I mean, that could be like,
I could see them using it as like a whole bunch of plain releases for every faction at once.
I could see like a supplement of Battle in the Skies for 30K or something like that, or the Skies of Terra as a supplement, and then including Fire Raptors and whatnot, and then kicking it off with like a plastic Thunderhawk release or something
Reset
like
clock
that.
on that.
Yep, that was kind of my hope you would say that. So, yeah,
you got the planes. Yeah, I mean, there's been rumors of the for Solar Ox to get the Baneblade variants for them in plastic, which would make sense because everybody already kind of knows what they're going to look like with the Legion Imperialis, but it's kind of the same base kit as the Marine one, so you could kill 2 birds with 1 stone, or at least use that to release kind of both of them at the same time, even though you've got a bunch of different variants off of them. That
Yeah.
would knock out a bunch of resin kits as well. I mean, they've basically done it with the it's the Macarius, other than the Gatling gun one, the Vulcan Mega Bolter. I think is the only one that's gone out.
Yeah, the Malcadors.
Malcador, sorry. Yeah, the
Yeah,
one.
we're still missing the heavy bolter turret one that I like.
Yeah.
Looks like a rolling bunker.
Yep.
Yep.
But yeah, fast attack pods. You've got the all the different pods. You've got the saber tank. You've got the bikes, not jet bikes. Zyphan, Thunderhawk, Fire Raptor, Storm Eagle. Is there something else? The speeders, the javelin, and the regular speeder.
Yep.
So I mean, like, there's a lot fast attack wise they haven't done yet. So, and then you have breachers and the destroyer.
Rapiers.
Yep.
So I mean, there's a bunch left that they still can do.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff they could do. A lot of stuff we hope they will do.
Yeah.
It's just, I hope we see more mainline 30K exposure and acknowledgement through GW.
Yeah, I totally
mean,
agree.
That's just a big hope that I have.
I still think, and as you've said in the past, Duncan, that they need to do something after the novel series is done. Even though apparently we're still getting one more book, they need like a scouring or something else, a new big series that they can draw out, and no offense, make a bunch of different more novels, a lot more novels off of.
I mean, we know that the novels were a cash cow for GW.
Yeah.
So I really don't see that they can just let that die. I don't see that being something that GW will actually do.
I mean, I don't know. I have never seen what the sales numbers are for the novel, like the 30K, Heresy novels versus the 40K novels. But
well, if you look at them, how many of them hit the New York Times bestseller list?
Yeah.
Well, I think a better gauge would be the fact that the Heresy novels, not only the limited edition sell out, but the paperback first releases usually sell out too pretty quick.
Yep. I mean, it kind of just goes really fast.
And I've been in stores, people talking like, you play Heresy? I mean, like the novels? I'm like, no, there's a whole game system on it too. Not just the novels, but yes, it's based on the same material. And they're like, oh wow, okay.
Yep.
So,
yeah. So a lot of stuff we all think would be cool. A lot of things we all hope for. I think
the best way to say is we've had a great year. We think we're going to have a great next year. I think obviously last year, listening back to that, and even I got some local feedback that we were fairly negative on that recap because it's we were dealing with the information that we were dealt. So looking forward with the information that we've been dealt so far, the things that we have are obviously all of the preview articles that we have for some of the characters coming out, the tanks that have been previewed, and then the quote-unquote roadmap for the future. That does kind of limit us on a lot of the hopes that we have looking forward for anything more than just a hope and a prayer. So I guess the question is going to be, can GW not only give us what they've talked about, but also give us things that I guess we could say we don't know we want. That's going to be the interesting part.
We all know what we want. And I'm not speaking for the community here. I'm saying I know we as a group know what we want. There are other people out there in the Heresy community who know very specifically what it is they themselves want. Does GW know how much we want it? And does GW have other ideas of what they will give to us that we don't even know we actually want, need, and desire? I don't know. I hope so. If GW is listening somehow by some magical means that I have no idea about, hey, put out a word and tell us a preview early in 25 of what we are going to get. Give us another roadmap. No matter how much you don't intend to stick to us, give us an idea roadmap. So we can go from there.
Give us like a trailer for what's coming in 2025.
Yes, that would be great. Give us a trailer.
Explosions, singers, a deep person's voice online telling us stuff. This year in Horse
shooting the fresh
or
recruit.
tackling over a battlefield. Yeah, that's something.
Yep.
One
Whatever
man.
you want to give us.
One cup. No, wait. Sorry. That
No.
took a left
No.
turn.
No.
That took a left
No.
turn.
No.
No.
We greatly appreciate the Warhammer preview that we got a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
At this point,
Yeah.
looking forward with all the tanks and things like that. But again, that's just tanks, and that will probably take us through, May and the like. But like you said, I think just even a generic like, hey, this is what we've got planned for all of 2025, or something like that. Something that's a little more concrete than here's 5 models, you don't know when they're going to get them.
Yeah. We'll be looking forward to whatever GW officially tells us we're getting, or even unofficially tells us we're getting.
Yep.
Anyway, gents, at this point, this has been your Christmas review.
Yep. Next week will be hobby goals for 2025. Probably
our 2025 or 24 resolution review and 25 resolution preview.
Yep, probably not a lot in the news front. So yeah. I'll see.
And also if you're listening to it the week of Christmas, we are having a hobby hangout to get it in case you wanted to get away from the family.
Oh wait, we are?
Yes.
We are.
Oh,
we are.
Yep. I'll be a little late because my family's doing dinner later, but I'll definitely be on.
Yep.
I will also likely be late as well, but I will be on.
I will.
Yeah, I'm expecting there will not be a Heresy Thursday because it's Boxing Day, which means
GW actually has already announced there will not be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
They said that's coming back next year.
Officially made up holidays.
Yep. Well, one thing I would like to go ahead and give a shout out to is, hey, do you have a hobbyist in your life? Maybe you'd like to get them a Heresy Accountabilibuddies t-shirt or hoodie. We still have them available. They're on the website. You can reach the shop at heresypodcast.com.
Heresypodcast.com.
The shirts are super comfy.
There's also, if you have a hobbyist and they need hobby tools, there's a collection of that you can also get to, I believe.
Yep, you can. You can follow the Discord that you can get a link to from heresypodcast.com.
Heresypodcast.com.
Yes, Jack. Heresypodcast.com. You can follow that to our Discord or to our Facebook group. And from there, you can find our Amazon list of what we suggest for people in case you need any special last-minute stocking stuffers for the hobbyist in your life. And gentlemen, at this point, I'm going to wish all our listeners a happy holidays, a Merry Christmas. I'm going to wish my co-hosts a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas. And I'm going to say thank you all for joining us. And tonight for the Heresy Accountabilibuddies, episode 108, it has been my honor to be Duncan, and I was joined by
Dan,
Jack,
Jamie,
and John. And hope everyone has a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday.
You didn't let me tell you to tell John to take us out of here. I'm so upset about all this.
I'd apologize, but I'm not gonna.
I figured as much. Goodbye, everybody.
Good night.